welcome back everybody to another episode of the Union After Hours. As always, I'm David.
I'm Jordan.
All right. So Jordan and I did something a little bit different this week. We asked our staff members 2 questions.
Yep.
Right? So the first question was, what is something that you wish you knew in the beginning when you were first getting into cigars that you now know, but you know, when it's like, if only I'd known then what I know now,
right?
Kind of things that would have helped out. And what's the second question that we asked?
Second one was, what is your favorite cigar under that $10 price point?
Right. Yeah. Yep. Budget-friendly sticks for under $10.
Yep.
Right. And as usual, the staff here did not disappoint. Did they, right. I mean, they overwhelmed us with answers. It was all day long with text messages, emails, messages in the apps, all sorts of great stuff. So. We're not going to share everybody's tonight, but I think we got a good base point to start with. We got 3 or 4. I'm going to share mine. Jordan's going to share his, and then at the end we'll wrap up with some of those rookie mistakes that we've all made when we got started. So for me, this is my go-to everyday stick is the CAO Pelon Lote Pequeño, which means small lot in Spanish. I'm told from Google anyway. It's a 5x52. It's a Nicaraguan blend. And actually in 2016, this made Cigar Aficionado's top 25 list through their magazine. And I forget what the exact retail price point of this one is, but like I said, it's definitely under that $10. It takes me about an hour or so to get through this one. And it's got really good notes of like a little bit of milk chocolate, dark chocolate, and even some saffron and some vanilla at times. So. For me, for under $10, my go-to stick, the CAO Pelon.
Nice. And now, do you remember like exact time and place, like the first time you had one?
You know what? I think the first time I had one of these, somebody gave it to me.
Okay.
Another one of the guys on the ambulance is a big CAO guy. He likes the Brasilia, the Italia, and he's also big into the infused blends. They're Eileen's Dream and Moon Tray, you know what I mean?
Cherry Bomb.
Yeah, Cherry Bombs, and all those. And I was pretty sure that's the first time I had one of these.
Okay.
Yeah, and
nice.
So I snapped up a box. I know I say that a lot, but this one I actually did buy a box of. All right.
Not here, but I bought a box.
Not here, yeah. It wasn't here at Union yet, but yeah. So I've still got a few of those left, and like I said, I'll smoke these all summer long out on the back deck. I really enjoy them.
Nice. Definitely.
How about you? What'd you bring?
Yep, so I brought the Arturo Fuente Cazadores. I did not look up what that means. I should have. Okay. This falls, again, still under that $10 price point. It just has a very woody, light spice, natural sweetness from the wrapper. It's a Habano Ecuadorian wrapper.
Oh, nice.
I absolutely love this cigar. The first time I actually had one was 3 weeks ago here. I'm just trying to, try different things and expand the palate,
Right, absolutely.
I don't have a Padron budget, for every day.
You can't smoke that 80th anniversary every day, every time you mow the lawn.
Right. So just trying, trying some new things and, smoking my way through the cabinets, as it were, and I fell in love with it. Yeah,
there are worse hobbies to have, right?
Oh, sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so what we'll do now is we'll just move through with what the staff had to say.
All right, so our first staff pick was from Josh, and he picked the Oliva Serie V Lancero, which he is a pure Nicaraguan cigar. Which means when it's a puro, it means the same tobacco all throughout the cigar, right? Filler, wrapper, binder. It actually, this Vitola, or the shape of the cigar, is a Lancero, and it actually made the number 6 spot in Cigar Aficionado Top 25 of 2019. It's a 7-inch cigar with a 38 ring gauge, and like all Lanceros, they lend themselves to a very cooler smoke, not as harsh.
I've never actually smoked a Lancero.
Okay.
Right? It always just kind of struck me as, like, because it's that long and thin, it always just...
Or feminine.
No, I was going to say effeminate. No, I was going to say pretentious, actually. It always, to me, they seem to be... But I keep hearing... That's what I keep hearing about them. Like, one of my big problems is I enjoy, you know, the bigger ring gauge, dark, oily kind of stuff.
Sure.
And a lot of times they do burn super hot. You know what I mean? Which you know, sometimes leads to an uneven burn or a very, very harsh tongue and lip bite. So I'll be interested to try one of these. You've smoked the Lancero?
I have, yeah. There's a few Lanceros here. The Southern Draw Jacob's Ladder Lancero I like, and I believe they will also have a few Lanceros in the from Foundation cigars. Yep.
All right.
Yep. But yep, excellent.
We'll have to give that one a whirl.
Yeah, absolutely.
So for round 2 comes to us from Taylor. All right, now Taylor is going to start working at our Thomasville location at Morningstar Markets. So if you can't make it to see us out here at our command post, so to speak, feel free to stop out at our outpost, right? See Taylor. She likes the Rough Rider Sweet Tip, which comes to us from Jose Blanco at Indian Head Tobacco Company. Okay. And what I always say to people about the sweet tip and infused lines, sugar tips, things like that, is don't be fooled by the fact that they've done some sort of an infusion or made it taste a little bit different. A lot of people think they've done that because it's cheap tobacco on the inside, right? But Jose Blanco over there at Indian Head, this Rough Rider is full Nicaraguan long filler tobacco. Cuban seed long filler, as a matter of fact. So this is for under $10, a good infused cigar. I've actually never had this one. The band looks pretty cool. I like the, what do you call that? The Dia de Muerte.
Oh, yep.
What do they call those? Candy skulls, sugar skull kind of things.
I know what you're talking about.
On the front of it. So I'd be interested to give it a shot. So
sure.
Thank you, Taylor, for your submission.
All right. Yeah, and our third pick comes from Dan, another tobacconist, great guy. He's actually going to be leaving us here soon, unfortunately. Okay. But his pick was the Insidious cigar made by Asylum. It's another sweet cap cigar, under and long fillers, with a Mexican San Andreas wrapper. Again, still budget friendly, under that $10 price point. And he finds cream, cocoa, and spicy notes as well. It's quite the ring gauge on this one. So.
Yeah, I think that's one of the bigger ones that we've got for our submissions today. So we got a lot of sweet tipped.
Yeah.
From our folks here. Are you big into the infused blends?
Not so much.
Yeah?
I was in the beginning.
Right.
You know, I mean, I think that's and I think that's something that our tobacconists generally point people towards when they are just getting started in cigars, like the more mild, medium, more of the infused, like if you like a nice coffee.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I think they're a good starting point, right? Like a good jump off location. You're not sure what you're going to get into. You're probably not going to be super offended. Yeah. You know what I mean? By something that has that nice sweeter aroma. Like, I've never met a person, smoker or non, who didn't like the smell of, you know, like pipe tobacco.
Oh, sure.
You know what I mean? It just has that really warm, velvety, fills up your sinuses, makes you think of your, you know, your grandfather or the friendly sea captain somewhere. You know what I mean? It's just, it's super non-offensive. Right. So one of the other things that we talked about was mistakes, right? Not necessarily mistakes, but like things that you know now about cigar smoking that you didn't know back then, right? That probably would have helped you out a little bit on your journey, right? You think of anything that, if you could go back to younger Jordan, first time he walks into a cigar shop, or the first time he's going to light up a cigar, what advice would you give?
Well, you actually you said it already, and it was the lighting up part.
Oh, okay.
So for the first, I'd say 2 or 3 years of smoking cigars, I had actually been smoking them wrong, or lighting them wrong. Excuse me. So same, you know, butane torch lighter, right? But I wasn't going through the ritual of the slow toasting of the foot, and I was just immediately just going into just cutting and lighting, and holding the cigar like directly in the flame, so much that I was like completely burning and charring the wrapper, and then you just got a lot of that tarry and that harshness like right from the very beginning, something you generally don't experience until you get towards the end of a cigar, right?
Right.
I was actually getting that in the beginning, and then it would taper off, and then would come back to the end.
Okay.
So then actually just watching, you know, some YouTube videos from, you know.
What can't you learn watching YouTube, right? I mean,
right.
You can learn all sorts. That's why you should watch our YouTube channel.
Right. But now I'm all about the the toasting with the cedar spill and lighting with that, or cedar matches and so on. So
yeah, and I like when we had Francis on the other week. Number one, I tried lighting matches the way that he did. You know what I mean? Instead of holding them out and doing this big dramatic thing, he was like,
yeah,
you know what I mean? And actually, I got it to work. I burned my fingers twice, but I did eventually get it to work. So that 3-match system, I don't know, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, that slow toasting. Honestly, I feel like it makes a difference, right? You put that aroma out there, you get a much better, more enjoyable experience, right?
Yeah.
Rather than I did some of the same things when I first started. You take that triple tip, quadruple tip butane torch, and you're a 1/4 inch away from the end of that cigar and blast it and just burn the living daylights out of the bottom, right? And then you choke on it, but you're a man, so you're supposed to,
so good.
Yeah, it's so good, it's great. All kinds of other stuff, right? So one of my mistakes, right, was and I see a lot of people make this is how to cut.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good one.
I had a friend of mine who said the last 1/2 inch, or I forget exactly the measurement he used, of a cigar is all just junk anyway. So he just cuts it off, right? Completely flat at the back end, at the cap end.
Oh.
Right.
Okay.
Right. So
Okay.
I mean, I didn't know any better. I was like, yeah, sure. Right. So, but what happens when you completely cut the cap off the cigar?
Oh, it's straight through.
Right.
It's like smoking hellfire.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And then what else happens to the actual cigar? It unravels.
Yes.
Right? Like
Yeah.
we still got,
Yeah.
so, I don't know. We'll get Mark to do a bit of a close up here on this one. But if you look, there's actually, you can see the lines, right? On the cap. So all of the cigars, they take, the filler leaves, they get rolled up, the binder gets rolled up over top of them, and then they get wrapped up in this wrapper, which makes up the outside. And then they all have this little cap on the top. So I don't know if you can make out the lines that are here. There's 1, 2, and then a third one, right? And they stick that on there with a little bit of vegetable-based adhesive, like a goma, right? And that's made to hold that leaf together, right? So if you cut too much of this cap off, it just starts to unravel in your mouth. You'll end up with a huge mess of half-burnt leaves in your lap and all sorts of, tobacco in your teeth, and all sorts of stuff like that. So, right, so there's a couple different ways you can avoid making this mistake. And this is what I was talking about in the beginning. This is not how you want to cut your cigar, right? And go clipping all of this off, okay? Until you get the practice down. I mean, I've been doing this for a long time, so all you really need to do is take off just the last little bit, right? And you want to keep that cap on there. Until you've had some practice, this is how I was taught to cheat this. Let's put your cutter down, okay? Put the cap end of the cigar inside, and then, right? So it still kind of has a rounded shape on the end, and this is all that you've cut off. It's just that little bit of a cap.
Yep.
Right? See, now this isn't going to unravel as you're moving it around, in your mouth, or if you put it down and walk away. As we all know, as things burn, they expand, right? So as this thing heats up, which you want it to do, you want it to heat up and loosen up those oils and get your flavor out of it. But what it won't do is unravel on you. I'm torn as to whether or not I want to cut the rest of this off and show you what it looks like when it unravels, but I don't want to ruin a good cigar to do that. Just take my word for it that if you cut too much of the cap off, it's going to unravel on you.
Yep.
Another great way to avoid that is to use a punch, or Jordan is a big V-cut guy. A deep V-cut is another great way. You almost cannot overdo it with a V-cut.
No,
you know what I mean? It's I like the V-cut because it's dummy proof. You know what I mean? It's only going to go in so far, and you clip the end off. I can do it without looking at it. So
now, and there are some cigars too that you might do the whole, which is essentially fail-proof, like tabletop cut method that you just showed us. But some cigars do sometimes require a little bit more, right? So it's always good to start out with less, and then if you need to take off more, you can always take more off the cigar. You can't add, right? You can't put it back. So
yeah, I mean, we got all kinds of cool things to enhance your cigar smoking experience in our shop, but a stretcher isn't one of them, right? You're not gonna, if you cut too much of this off, we're not gonna stretch it back out and grow more so that you can recut it. So yeah, definitely something you don't want to mess up. Like Jordan said, if you're gonna mess up a cigar, it's gonna be in the beginning, right? You jack up the burn when you light it, it's going to taste bad. You jack up your cut, it's going to taste bad. It's going to unravel on you. You know, so those are things I always tell people to keep in mind. If your flavor profile is changing, take a look at the end of it, see if you're canoeing or, you know, have a bad burn, an uneven burn, or you probably just cut too much of it off. So with that being said, let me get this mess out of the way here. When we asked our staff, right, we asked them all the same question, you know, what is something that you know now that you wish you knew back then?
Yes.
Right? And oddly enough, most of them gave the exact same answer or, you know, a variant of it, but the spirit was still the same, right?
Yes.
And that was?
Price does not equal quality.
Right. Price does not equal quality, right? I mean, that's something that we've said on this show. I've said it. I've heard you say it. John says it all the time. I think it was actually in one of our first videos, we talked about the fact that I've walked away from $20, $30 cigars that just tasted like trash. You know what I mean? And gone back to the $7, you know, dog walker, you know what I mean? That I know I like, right? So what do you think? Is that a fair estimate that price doesn't always equal quality?
It can. I mean, because the thing about cigars, right, is that they are a handmade product, right? So you could spend the $600 on a box of Padron 80 years, right? And one or two out of that box could be rolled too tightly, or
definitely.
you know, the filler could be too tight in one spot, so you get the canoeing and the uneven burn. But so I think it's fair to say to your brick and mortar, to your shop, and to the manufacturer that if you do get something at that $20, $30 price point and it doesn't smoke well, you know, say something to your tobacconist, right? I think we mentioned that before in the previous episode. And just to give it another shot before you roll it out. You know what I mean? It's like it's like the people who buy, you know, like a Volkswagen. They buy one, they have issues with it. Oh, I'm never buying a VW ever again.
Right.
You know, it's the same thing. It's like you have one bad Padron. I know we always use that example, but you have one bad cigar from the cigar company. Yeah, I'm never buying those again. Right. Yeah. I don't think that's fair.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, it's like you said, it is a handmade product, and there's actually a cigar line out there that lends their name to that. I think it's called 300 Hands. Right. If you think about it, from seed to finished product, it took a long time.
Oh yeah.
You know, this got rolled by hand. If you're smoking anything remotely close to a premium cigar, you know what I mean? It was rolled by hand. It was put together by a person in a factory. Mistakes happen, right? When you go to the Ford plant, right? Every carburetor that goes in every Ford Focus looks exactly the same, right? There's no differentiating one to the other. But like you said, your box of Padron 80th anniversaries, right? You could look at them and you will see subtle differences from wrapper to wrapper. Now, with Padron, they are the Cadillac of, you know, the cigar. Yeah, right? So I wouldn't expect to find too many wrong, but you're right. You know, every once in a while you will find one that might not be the, you know, up to snuff, so to speak. But I think what the spirit of what the staff was getting at is just because something is expensive doesn't mean it's good.
Right.
Right? Like, you're more of a Scotch guy, right?
Bourbon.
Bourbon. Right?
Yep.
I'm not a huge Scotch fan, but I have friends who swear by it. Oh, yeah. And every time we get together, it's, oh, you got to try this Scotch. It cost me $100 a bottle. And I'm like, I don't care, because I know I'm not going to like it. You know what I mean? It's just not my thing. Just because it's expensive doesn't mean it's good. Now, on the opposite side of that coin, does not mean that there are not good $5 cigars out there on the market, right? I mean, what were you smoking when you came in before we were setting up that little?
Oh yeah, it was just a little Arturo Fuente.
Yeah.
It was. It was under the $5.
Right. Yeah, it was like $3-4. I think you told me.
Yeah, $3.75. I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was good. It had that consistent flavor that you would expect to find in all of the Arturo Fuente.
Yeah.
Cigars.
Definitely. I mean, and one of my favorite cigars is the Tobacco by Drew Estates. It's one of my favorite morning cigars. They're right around that $5 price point. I mean, and Drew Estate is a great boutique blend cigar, right? I mean, I have never had a bad one from them, you know, or at least not one that went wrong that I can't look back and say I screwed it up, you know, by either that cut or the light problem, you know. So again, just because it's expensive doesn't mean it's good. Just because it's inexpensive doesn't mean it's junk.
Right.
Right? Yeah. All right. Well, I think that about does it for us tonight. What do you think?
Yeah, no.
All right.
It's a good one.
So again, I'm David.
I'm Jordan.
All right. Thanks for coming. Don't forget to head on over to YouTube. Check us out there. Subscribe. Hit like. Smash that follow button on Facebook, Instagram, and I believe IGTV should be coming up here soon. I think.
Yep. In the works. Yep.
Yep. And we're getting our website revamped. So yeah.
Check us out.
Yeah. Check us out online and definitely come down in person. All right. We'll see you at the Union. Thanks for coming by.